It's Lohpally here with another video for you guys, and today we're going to be going over boots and which to buy and when to buy on what champions. So first of all, we'll do the most common ones and then we'll jump into the fringe ones afterwards. So we're going to be opening up with mobility boots. Now mobility boots are must buys on a certain amount of champions that need to get in and engage fights. Recommend that on champions such as Blitzcrank, Thresh, and Alistar, you're almost always buying these boots in pretty much every way, shape, or form. Usually in some way you either need the mobility to either rotate to areas or use the mobility and the bonus movement speed while out of combat to potentially look for engages or catches on these champions. Now you can build mobility boots on pretty much any champion if you feel the need that you need to rotate around the map or you're constantly moving from side to side. I've seen movie boots on pretty much every champion, including champions like Morgana and Lulu. This is fine if you don't care as much about your teamfight prowess, but it's not a personal preference for mine as I barely build those on those kinds of champions. It's mostly on melee champions. Next we jump into is Lucidity Boots. Now Lucidity Boots are basically free CDR for your support. I basically build this on Soraka every time even though it overcaps me on CDR just because of the fact that I run Summoner, Heal, and Flash, and most of the time that's the way I survive a lot of the team fights, and I value the cooldown reduction on both my Summoners and my 40% even though it overcaps. Outside of that, I recommend taking it on champions like Morgana, Lulu, Janna, etc. if you are, in fact, going to build a locket. And the way I mean by this is usually you build an Ardent Sensor and Redemption on these champions, and you'll have 10% CDR coming from your Spell Thieves or Coin, which leaves you with about a 10% CDR hole. If you don't intend on building Shurilias, and instead maybe going for a locket or something that doesn't have CDR, Lucidity Boots is great to just fill out that last 10% CDR. If not, it's okay to then end up taking other boots. After this is more getting into the fringe situations. We'll start with Sorcery Shoes. Now, Sorcery Shoes are great on any AP support. Examples of this are like Vel'Koz, Brand, or Zyra. Champions that get a lot of damage value from having Spell Pen because their base damages are pretty good and they don't scale as well with AP. This is also why they're able to be played support because they can run on a low budget and still do good damage. Outside of that, I've also been using Sorcerer Shoes on Karma quite frequently now, as I have been doing in Athene's Ardent Sensor Redemption build, or potentially a Luden's after Athene's, which means that I get 20% between Athene's and my Spell Thief / Coin, and I don't need the Lucidity Boots to round out my CDR. Also, another great pickup is Swiftness Boots. Now, for the most part, after the nerfs to the movement speed on Janna, and the fact that you usually build a lot of CDR on her, if I am not hurting for CDR, I sometimes do get Swiftness Boots early. These items, Swiftness Boots is basically when you're winning lane and you need to dodge skill shots quite frequently. Examples of this is maybe you're playing a Lulu or a Janna and you need to get in and do damage in your lane, and you want to dodge skill shots such as either a Brand on their team, or maybe it's a Thresher, Blitzcrank, or Morgana. Swiftness Boots are a great substitute for that. They give you in-combat movement speed and relatively competitive movement speed when you're moving around the map. And then the last two boots kind of go together, which is Ninja Tabi and Mercury Treads. The majority of the time you should be building these two boots is when you're always on the front line and you don't value mobility boots. So examples of champions that I build these two types of boots relative to what's going on in the game are Taric, Tahm Kench, and Braum. These champions are melee champions, but they don't actually have great engage, and they're usually more of a disengage or counter-engage kind of champion. Thereby, they're still in the front, but they don't gain the same value as from mobility boots. So I like to have strong combat strength with Ninja Tabi or Merc Treads based on whether they have a lot of CC or physical damage. Although you can always find yourself building these boots on any support if you feel the need that you need a lot of extra MR or armor in the early stages to dodge being killed by a diver. Examples of that are things like Talon, Rengar, Riven, LeBlanc, etc. These champions that can dive in and potentially kill you instantly. If you feel the need that you need this extra defensive stat, it's okay to build these items, but know that you're sacrificing a little bit of power in the sense of the Lucidity Boots if you do so. Anyway guys, that's it for the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment in the section below, and hit that bell. I'll see you next time. Peace out.